Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Yeah, so big welcome to the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show. Hope you're fit and well. Hope you've had a good week and managed to get some rugby in over the weekend. My name's Steve Beech, and of course joining me is a very unhealthy Dave Parkinson. Mr. Parkinson, how are you doing?
You had to get that in, didn't you, Steve, about you're all well. You was just getting the digging straight away.
I hope you're all well except one.
Because I sound like I should be Barry White's brother at the moment. Forget that I could be the dolphin of love. That's what I think.
He came to the front door and said, I don't think I'll be able to speak much.
So Steve's taking most of the talking tonight, I think, from the sound of it. But we have still got a pretty good show in front of us, haven't we?
We certainly have.
So some would say there wasn't much happening in the National Conference League this past weekend, but you would say otherwise.
I certainly was. I managed to get to the one NCL game that was up and running just round the corner from us. Crosfields versus Shawcross Sharks. Shawcross Sharks riding high at the moment, doing really, really well. Crossfields on the other end of that ledger, still looking for the first win.
So this was the Division 1 fixture, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I'm not sure why it was being played, separate to all the others. Whether it's something going on later on down the line.
Possibly, usually at the end of June, doesn't Crossfields host a British Army?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So possibly
along those lines.
Possibly that they've requested that to be changed as a result.
Yeah. It was a good day. A little blustery. That was about it. Other than that, it was.
I know the weather was changing on Saturday.
Do I need to ask you where you were on Saturday, Parker?
I had my first experience of horse racing.
Yeah.
Though I know
you're picturing Parky in racing colours with his little saddle under his arm and his whip.
maybe next time. But no. It was I was doing some work for BBC Radio Cumbria at Cartmel races. First time that I've been there, and the funny thing, Steve.
Yeah,
I got chatting to a couple who were setting up. Very, very pleasant couple. Guess where they were from?
Not Sir Lee.
Tilsley.
Oh God!
So they were so close, really, so close. So it just shows that you can go far away from home and still meet somebody from nearby.
Yeah, very much so. It's as I say. I mean, there wasn't very little in the way of NCL, but we have got a good show for you tonight. We're going to obviously look at next week's fixtures. We're going to have a look at the leagues. And also, we've got a little bit of a piece near the end of the show when we do our social media corner, which for this week we're going to be calling it Sidelines Stories.
It's a bit of a special, this one.
I just dropped on this one, and it's an excellent one, and we'll fill you on that a little bit later on. But just going to check, and we'll fetch you a report on obviously the game that was played at the weekend between Crosfield and Shawcross Sharks, and just find out. There we go. It's up. Right, Crossfields. They push Shawcross Sharks all the way in a narrow defeat. Crossfields still searching for the first division win. The first win in Division 1 this season. They came agonisingly close to pulling off a major upset in the National Conference League on Saturday, narrowly losing out 26 points to 18 at home to promotion hopeful Shawcross Sharks. Despite the winless run, Crossfields made the Dewsbury-based visitors work hard for the result. The game was tightly contested throughout, with the Warrington side taking a 14-12 lead just before half-time, thanks to tries from Ben Steele, Aaron Holliday, Sam Worrell, and Jack Nolan's score then put them ahead 22 points to 18 after 58 minutes. However, Shawcross Sharks stayed composed, even with Brandon French spending 10 minutes in the sin bin for a high tackle at the 63rd minute mark. The Sharks managed to hold firm defensively during that crucial period, Goal kicker Lewis Eckford proved vital for the visitors, successfully converting 3 of Shawcross's 5 tries. In contrast, Crosfields' Brad Stanley had a tougher time, converting just 1 from 4 attempts. With time running out, Shawcross eventually broke through, with Spencer Ray crossing for the match-winning try just 4 minutes from the end, adding to earlier scores from Aaron Wood, Finlay Curtis, Max Sheard and French. The win keeps Shawcross Sharks just 1 point behind second place Wigan St Jude's, although Shawcross have played 1 game more now. But it still keeps Crosfields down there at the bottom, unfortunately.
So let's put a bit of meat to the bones, because there's the report. You was there. Does that report summarise kind of what went on? Can you give us a little bit more detail here, Steve?
Well, to be honest, I mean, when I set out, and no disrespect to either side, but you would look at it and you'd look at the way Crosfields' results have been this season.
Yeah, they found wins hard to come by, haven't they, really?
And obviously there was one in there against the nearest and dearest, which is Woolston, which they lost, and that was at home. That would have really hurt. It would have really, really stung. Then you've got Shawcross Sharks, who I think their only losses this season have been to to the high flyers who are there in amongst at the moment.
And let's be fair as well, Shawcross were promoted from Division 2 last season as well, weren't they? So, we've said it before in the National Conference League, it's quite common for teams to kind of step up and do well the next season when they've got promoted.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not happened so often in the Premier Division over recent seasons. It's been a little bit up and down as far as that's concerned. But certainly amongst the other divisions, those are very, very competitive. So, but you're right, Shawcross have made a fantastic start to the season, haven't they? They've been ultra competitive in the top part of that division. And Crosfields, though, I mean, last season they were on the edge of the play. They made the playoffs because we commentated on a playoff game which they had at Intros.
That's right, yeah. And I think at that time, if you remember rightly, they didn't think they were going to make that playoff game. So and some of the lads had organised to go
on holiday.
Exactly, yeah. So consequently, having watched that game and watched them a couple of times last season, I thought, what's got wrong? Where's the wheels come off? To be honest, I mean, that they actually played really, really well. They were dogged, they were in there amongst it. And I was surprised. I thought, well, how were the results so bad if they'd been playing like this? But it was just one of those sort of nip and tuck things. And it was just before half time, they were almost in the far left hand corner with the pass to the winger, and it got intercepted. And the winger from Shawcross Sharks went full length, virtually just to the side of the post.
Was that the Finlay Curtis?
I think it was, yeah. And it was one of those things. If they'd have scored, if they'd have got that would have put them a little bit further in front, and it would have obviously pulled Shawcross back. So it was just that fine things there. That's all. Great game, really, really good game. Got to speak to a couple of guys up there. Dom, obviously, who's I think he's the chairman. Is he at Crosfields? Was having a chat to him. He was telling him about various, obviously, things that have been going on lately. And got to give a shout out to the ladies who were on the desk as you were coming in, collecting the money, having a good laugh and a joke with them, which makes a really lovely afternoon. Pity there weren't more there supporting the team locally. And I was having a chat with Dom, and he was saying it's unfortunate they don't get a great deal of support locally to come and see them, because it's an absolutely lovely ground, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's so well appointed, and we've always been made incredibly welcome when we've gone down there for 13 Pro Am doing our commentaries. Whenever I've been down doing any sort of filming, be it for NCL or for our own YouTube channel, and it's a really good club, Crosfields, and they treat people right, and it's, as you said, it's a shame really that it's just those people in the immediate locality that sort of go there, and maybe that comes down to the fact that, you know, once upon a time it was based on you know, an industry sort of team.
Yeah, true, yeah.
And the industry isn't there anymore, is it? You know, you could say the same for Pilkington Rex, actually, because a couple of times I've been down to Pilks, again, some fantastic people. It's a big club, but not that many people go watching their first team either. You know, certainly in comparison to other clubs.
They sort of like pick the games, as it were. You'll see them with possibly playing a Wigan side that it will get quite a few, and it might be the fact that some of the Wigan supporters come down, or the Saints supporters come down. When you're up against teams, you know, maybe from the Cumbrian side, there doesn't seem to be as much there in that respect, and they're probably arguably, you know, sort of a more interesting game, aren't they? But nevertheless, it was a great day. The outside bar they had opened, they've got the electronic scoreboard. It's a wonderful venue. Well, getting back to the match, after the game I caught up with both coaches, and first we're going to hear from the winning coach from Shawcross Sharks, and that's Matt Bramald. Hi, time here at Crosfields, where Shawcross Sharks have just won an absolutely thrilling game, 26 points to 18, and with me is head coach Matt Bramald. Matt, your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, you'll call it thrilling. I call it painful. No disrespect to Crosfields. You know, they worked hard. They ran harder than we did, and they worked harder than we did. But we were way off it today compared to what we have been producing. We were flat before the game, flat during the game, flat at the end of the game. But fortunately, I've just said to the lads, fortunately, we still managed to have enough in us to get over the top of Crosfields. But again, without sounding disrespectful, if we play like that against some of the better teams, because Crosfields are obviously struggling. I think that's 9 from 9 they've lost. Yeah. If we play like that, if we play like that against some of the better teams, then we'll get beaten, and we'll get beaten convincingly as well.
Yeah. Is it difficult when you come for play at a team that's at the bottom? You know, trying to get the lads up for it to a certain degree.
Sometimes, I mean, at the level we're at now, I try and tell them not to be too concerned about who we're playing against. It's more about us. It's about if we produce week in, week out. Having said that, we played Crosfields a few weeks ago and put 50 points past them at home. So that's always going to be. It's always going to be in the back of the minds a little bit, I suppose. But what I said to them is, you know, you've got to earn that right. Yeah, you are better than them, and you will get over the top of them if you do the things that we talk about and you do them well. And when you give a team, even the team that's down its luck a little bit, when you give them invitations into your half through penalties and dropping the ball and missing tackles, then they're going to grow, and their forwards grew into the game. They had some experienced old forwards in there, and they got over the top of us a bit, especially in the first half. We got to grips with it at the start of the second half a little bit, and then fell away a little bit. So at half time I challenged the forwards. I said, you know, I think you need to have your pride pricked a little bit. I think you should be a little bit hurt by what's happened in the first half. I thought you were a bit soft. And the first 10 minutes of the second half, I thought they stepped it up a little bit, and we got some field position, and we scored some points. But ultimately, it was just bitty. It was scrappy, and it were nowhere near where we've been and where we need to be.
How do you feel your season's gone so far?
It's gone well. It's gone well. We've lost 3 games. I think we've probably won 6 now and lost 3. But the 3 games that we've lost, we've been a bit like that, and we should probably have won. Even, you know, in Shrewsbury, we played at home, and we're a really strong side, a really good side, and they're really at this level they're really good. But we had enough in our locker that day to beat them, and we were just enough off it. We went to Stanley and we were poor, we were flat, and we got beaten by 6 points. And Wigan St Joe's the same. The games that we've lost have been really frustrating because we've let teams get away from us a little bit, and then we've come back at them near the end. But obviously, when you're a bit frantic near the end of a game, it becomes tough to play in a controlled manner and produce any fluent football. But the games that we've won pretty convincingly when we've hit our straps and played how I want us to play. We've had some real good performances, so we're not looking forward to the 2 big trips up to Cumbria, because that's a tough old gig.
Long day as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but you've got to prepare for that, and we've got one of them coming up in about 3 weeks, I think. So they're always tough. If you can go up there and come away with something, then you know that you're onto a decent thing.
Yeah. Anyone today you were really pleased with, sort of how they've gone? I know it's been a bit not your usual standard, as you were saying.
John Moran worked hard on the wing. He's an inexperienced player, especially at this level. He's come from Westgate with us when we came, but he worked hard, had a lot of carries. Paul Chitacunya did really well, worked hard, and he's good technically. He's started off with us on dual edge from Batley, but he'll probably sign for us all the time because he's not getting much game time at Batley. So I thought those two did well. But Lewis Heckford he's a good organiser, and he takes control.
Can tell that,
takes control. And obviously he has played at a higher level than this when he was a junior, and he's pretty consistent. But when obviously you need the buy-in of the people around him as well. But he's really consistent, and Evan Stevenson at fullback was solid as well. I thought he always looked dangerous when we got the ball wide. We just need to get a little bit better shape so he can run some better lines on the edges.
Yeah, is it difficult trying to bring youngsters in, because obviously you've got a structured and sort of together side at the moment?
Yeah, I mean we've had to. Young Finlay Curtis that played on the wing, he's only a young lad. I think he's only 18, 19. But it's the physical side of it at this level. I mean, you've got some big men out there, some big old experienced gnarly old men, and you chuck a 17, 18-year-old kid into that. It's the physical side. Also Spencer Ray that played in the middle, played at 9, the kid with the headgear on. Yeah, very slightly built, only a young lad, but absolutely worked his socks off and scored a fantastic try, to be fair.
I was going to mention him,
He skinned the fullback and did really well. But again, it's the physical side of it, the young lads that you don't fear for them because they can handle themselves, but you look and think, if I was coaching and playing against that, I'd be looking thinking, well, we need to go there.
That's right, yeah.
Because it's a brutal sport, and it's you're out there and you're there to be shot at, aren't you? So if you're out there on your own merits, then you've got to take what's coming to you.
Anyway, thanks very much indeed, Matt. All the best for the rest of the season, and a safe journey home.
Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Green Cooling keeps the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show cool, even when tackles get heated.
That was a really interesting summary, that, to be honest, from Matt. And obviously, he's stepping into big shoes as well, because he's stepping into the job that was previously Paul March's.
That's right, yeah.
And Paul March had been there and had built this squad up over a number of seasons. Interesting to hear about Paul Chitacunya, because he was with Shawcross a couple of years ago and actually got picked up to play professionally. And he's quite right. Unfortunately, it's not really worked out for him. And I can't put my finger on why, because every time when I saw him, an absolute workhorse of a player, really, really good technically in the tackle, doesn't miss many, doesn't allow many offloads, and just a really good forward. I just don't understand why he's not had that opportunity, in all honesty. And he mentioned there about Lewis Heckford, and he said about him, playing higher up the rugby league food chain. He's an ex-Wigan junior, so he has played in Wigan's academy teams and structures. So you've got to be a decent player. In fact, I think that he's come through on the back of what's his name? He's just signed for Featherstone. You might have edited this out.
This could be a long pause.
This could be a long pause.
I'm not sure. But what I can say about him, you can tell.
That he's played at that high level.
And like I said before, when you see these people, they stand out, and they've got time, haven't they?
Ryan Hampshire. So Ryan Hampshire is the player that I was thinking of, So Lewis Heckford was coming through at Wigan at a similar sort of time as Ryan Hampshire was.
Yeah.
He's a little bit younger than Ryan, but he was following that same sort of trajectory, and then for whatever reason it didn't quite happen. And he didn't get the same opportunities that Ryan Hampshire has had to go and make a first team career for himself.
He certainly knows how to lead a team about. I mean, he was involved in at the time. I remember watching it, I was thinking the kit they had on, it's a gorgeous blue kit, sponsored by Prostate Cancer. Obviously they're supporting that this year, and he looked the part. He looked absolutely on the money for starters, and there was the likes of him and Chitacunya as well, who you were saying were absolutely spot on. The other ones that I liked, Matt Sheard was another one who impressed me. Finlay Curtis, who scored an absolutely blinding interception try, which, as we were saying, I think that was, at the time, did they drop the heads at that? I don't know, but they certainly come out and give it a good try in the second half to Crosfields. Sorry, go on.
What I do like as well is that obviously Matt's been around the game for some time. He was a very good championship player once upon a time, scored loads of tries for the likes of Batley and Featherstone, but he was always a real thinker of the game.
Yeah.
So whenever anybody spoke to him as a player, he always got a really thoughtful interview. And he's taken that into his coaching. He's obviously taken Westgate Common as far as he could. He realises that there's some players there that could quite easily step up to the higher reaches in the National Conference League, and he's taken some of those over to Shawcross, which is fantastic for Shawcross because, like I say, that's just built on the nucleus of players that they have there, considering that Paul March also took a nucleus of players from that team last year, so it did leave big gaps.
Yeah, there was holes there.
So, he's gone to players that he can trust, players that he knows, guys that he thinks can do him a job, and he's doing a really good job there. I mean, 6 wins from 9 games, I think he said.
That's right, yeah.
Going up in the higher division, if you're winning more than you're losing, and you're pushing for those playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already said about how competitive Division 1 is. Usually there's only a couple of points between sort of 4th and 6th, and getting in the playoffs and being just above relegation. They're doing all right. But it's testament to his own professionalism that he was sounding a little bit like some of the interviews I've been doing with the working town coach whenever there's been a blip and they've not played fully to how there's been expected. They've been a bit scrappy and a bit bitty, and he's not been afraid to challenge that. And I'm sure he'll have told that to his players as well and made them clear in no uncertain terms that they've got to aim up. You've got to aim up in Division 1 of the National Conference League. Well, in any National Conference League division.
I think speaking to him there, and from it was very candid. I've got to say, he was very honest and candid. And speaking to him there, you could see he was trying to get it across to them, Luke. If you play, like he said, if you play like this against some of the big boys, you're going to get turned over, and that's, and again, no disrespect to Crosfields. They know how to play when they're on the game. They know how to play, those sorts of teams, and that's exactly what they did. Now, whether they need to take that type of form or the way they play into the next few games. To try and get them at least a win to get the momentum going, and that's what I posted that to Rob Campbell when I spoke to him after the game as well. Right, obviously they're speaking to Matt Bramald, the victorious coach beforehand, and joining me now is Rob Campbell. I hate to say on the defeated side of things because the effort there, Rob, was absolutely tremendous. So, your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, obviously we've been doing it tough at the start of the year. Still, obviously bottom of the league, not got a win. But, like you said, today the effort was incredible from my lads. Especially when you bring in young lads in to do a job who normally play 18s or second team. And I think a lot of people writ us off today, but I thought right until the end, if we kicked some goals, we would have been 2 points behind at the end there. So, really happy with the effort. Little things were a bit dumb, but we're getting there.
Overall, I mean, obviously you're disappointed where you are at, sort of with your positions. But a lot of your games you've been in this sort of situation where you've not got, sort of, other than I think one an away game against these, that's probably the biggest defeat they give you away. But other than that, you've always been in the games, haven't you?
Yeah, so I think a lot of coaches will know what I'm on about when they say, when you get in like a rut, or a winning streak, those things fall for you or fall against you. And you're spot on, that's what it's been like. But we've not been the smartest over the year. Ince taught us a lesson first game at season. Then we went to these men, to Shawcross, and they hammered us.
Yeah.
But other than that, we've been in, like you're saying, we've been in games. We're just not finishing games. We have moments where we max teams through it and then we fall away. Whether that's just our bench or, it's frustrating because the quality I've got at the club's there. He's just getting them out every week. But I'm sure every team will tell you the same. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Especially this time of year. We're trying really hard. We are trying, but I'm hoping we can start running. If we perform like that most weeks or every week, we won't go down.
Yeah, I agree. Out of today, then, who were your star players, do you think?
So, I think our number 10, Tom Millo, went really, really well, especially at the start. He's playing with a fracture in his hand, so he struggled and he had to come off in the end. Do you know what? Considering I had a young kid on one wing who was tiny, he had a good dig, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then Aaron on the other wing. So I'm massive on our kick returns and getting us on the front foot, or trying to, and they did that. Our middles again really stepped up today. We've struggled because we're not the biggest.
Yeah.
But they're a big pack, them, and they stood up today. Do you know what? Across the field, I'm not disappointed with anyone. I think there was a lot, but if we had to choose, Milo in that first half really took it to him. And then you have Big Brownie off the bench, who, again, he's hard put down. There's a fair few, but Aaron was probably my favourite because his kick returns are so solid. And he just runs like a madman when he's not got the size to do it. But
I was impressed with your number 1.
Yeah, Nate Taylor normally plays 9.
Oh, he's got tackles everything, doesn't he? And his tackling's absolutely spot on, round the ankles and doesn't miss a thing.
Yeah. Again, he's small in stature, but he hits well above his weight. Again, I'm really happy with them all. There's a few lads there who haven't played first team rugby.
Yeah.
So you're putting them in a little bit unknown against a quality side. They're third in league or second or third.
Yeah, third at the moment, yeah.
And they're running points on teams, and we stuck with them. And you know what? In bits that game, I thought we matched them, if not slightly better, in points, but we've got to do it for a full 80.
Yeah.
And hopefully we start falling on the right side of those results instead of the wrong.
Yeah. Commiserations, Rob, but an absolutely superb game, and all the best for the rest of the season.
We go again. Thank you.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.
Again, Steve, some really refreshing honesty. This is why I love, Community Rugby League in particular, because you just get refreshing honesty. There is no way that A, you get a Super League coach sitting with you in your studio, and B, that the said Super League coach would give you the sort of honest, frank and clear answers that those two gents have given you over the last sort of 10 minutes or so. I mean, he said some great things there, did Rob, and they're up against it at the moment, aren't they? They feel like they're a little bit short on numbers. I noticed that Matt Bramald, who retired last season, made a comeback.
Had a blinder. He was exactly the same as we watched him last season. So he's not dropped off, even though he's retired or packed it all in. I'm not sure. The funny thing was, right at the very end, give him his due. I was getting things sorted in the mobile studio, as it's called now, and as I said, the bar was open. The outside bar was open. He came out of the changing rooms, still had his kit on, haversack on his back, walked up and said to the guy behind the bar, "Give us a pint." And I thought, you deserve it, pal, because he had an absolute blinder. And there was others in there as well, like he was saying. Millington did. He was another one.
Tom Millington always plays well for Crosfields. Really, really good player.
Yeah, and as much as Brad Stanway's sort of place kicking was off, his boot was off in that respect, his kicking throughout the game, he utilised the wind in the second half and really put some height on some of the balls he was putting through, and give the Shawcross Sharks a real raps. There was very little that they fumbled or didn't get fetched back quite well. The game, as I said, as a whole, it was one of those that I'm sure people didn't turn up because of where the relative respective teams are, and they would have thought, it's they're going to get a cane in here. But no, they stood up to it. All I can say to him is to Rob, that is if his team can take that attitude forward, then I think once they start playing those teams in and around where they are, there's going to be some interesting results and some interesting games.
So cards on the table, and maybe I'm putting you on the spot here, so you can dodge it if you want to. The 9 games into the season now, Crosfields, it's now 9 defeats for them. They play at this level, 22 league games. So they're nearly halfway through. Realistically, they're going to have to win something like 7 or maybe even 8 of the last 13 games of the season. Do you think they'll be capable?
I think they're going to have to rely on the results of other teams in and around them as well. But if they can take the points, off those teams, which I'm sure they're capable of doing, and causing maybe the odd upset, to some of them a little bit higher up. What they've got to do is try and get a win. If they can get a win, certainly at home, I'm sure that'll give them a bit, will really kickstart them, because you can then start looking at, getting some sort of a pattern forming, because it's always difficult when you go away, because you might go to a venue where we've always had a good result here, but then the week after, or 2 weeks after, you go into another one where we've always had a cane in here. But if you can try and do that at home and get a consistency at home, and play your pitch, your conditions, those types of things, because as I was saying, I know we always go up to Satterwith, for instance, and we jokingly say it's twinned with Chicago because it's always windy. Well, if you know your pitch is going to be like that majority of times, then you should play those sorts of conditions. They've got a cracking pitch at Crosfield. The whole setup, as we said, is really, really good. But I think there's some optimism there, certainly is.
I mean, maybe they won't have to win that many games. At the moment, it just looks like a big gap between them and Woolston. But then you kind of look at where the rest of the league stacks
up after that. There's not a massive gap, though.
There isn't a massive gap, so it's one of those. Just 2 wins would give them a real fillip into the season then, wouldn't it?
And we always say, don't you, you string a couple of games back to back, and what happens is maybe a team above you loses a couple of games back to back, which is just as easy, and then suddenly, it's that, as we said last week, it's like the lifts, one's going up and one's going down.
Which kind of leads us very nicely into looking at maybe the league tables, and we'll do a little bit more looking at who's the top scorers and that type of thing within the divisions. And I'm going to start with Division 1 actually, because I'm looking at that table now. Ince Rosebridge out on top, 8 wins from 8. You've got Wigan St Jude's promoted from Division 2 last season. In second spot, 6 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Shawcross climbing up to 3rd in the league positions, also promoted from Division 2 last season. You had last year's relegated from the Premier Division Heworth sitting 4th. Stanningley, who just avoided relegation at the end of last season, currently sitting in 5th. And then you've got Wigan St Pat's, who missed out on the playoffs altogether last season due to their misdemeanours of the season before. Sitting in the final playoff position as it stands with 4 wins, 2 losses and a draw. That's not a bad record in itself, to be fair.
No.
And they're a couple of games down on a couple of the other clubs, aren't they? And then you've got a real logjam, haven't you? So you've got a couple of Cumbrian clubs there, Kells and Egremont. Oldham St Anne's, who made a super start to the season. I think they won 3 of the first 4 games. But they're one of those drop-in elevators, you mentioned. So they're finding themselves in 9th position. Woolston have picked up a couple of notable wins against Crosfields and against Heworth, so it shows that they can be competitive on their day as well. And there's still hope, I suppose, for Crosfields and Upton, isn't there?
Yeah, I think when you look at that Wolster result against Ewith, and that is a prime example to show that all is not lost. It's on the day, other teams can be beaten. Crosfields just need that early starter, and I think that will kickstart them into sort of getting amongst it, as it were.
If we look at like the scorers and amongst those stats, I love a stat mate, to be honest.
Stat man.
Yeah, he's the stat man. In fact, I couldn't nearly do that Scatman Carruthers voice, actually. You've still got Callum Hughes out on top, even though he's missed a couple of games for Ince Rosebridge over recent times, with 11 tries. You've got Rhys Matthews there and Connor Parkinson with 8 tries each for Wigan St Jude's. Jack Conway isn't that far behind with 6 tries for Egremont Rangers. Harry Watson seems to have been doing the job for Kells with 6 tries. And then Keenan Dyer-Dixon, who we've been talking about quite often when we've been doing our roundups, he scored 6 tries for Stanningley. Fraser McNee, the effervescent fullback at Egremont Rangers, has scored 5 tries. Riley Dervin has scored 5 tries. And Brad Smith at Wigan St Pat's has also scored 5 tries and added 18 goals. Danny Riding, yes, that guy who told us he never scores from more than 2 yards out, he scored 5 tries this season. And Matty Whitehead for Oldham St Andrews scored 5 tries and kicked 17 goals. So it just shows, there are a number of players that are, very, very capable at that division. And if we look at the top goal kickers, well, your favourites up there, Danny Cassidy.
No, Danny, yeah.
Yeah, 20 goals and a drop goal. Dean Parker isn't far behind him at Stanningley. 19 goals and a try for him. I've mentioned about Brad Smith's tally and Matty Whitehead's. Grant Gameford is another one of those guys that we always seem to mention from Kells. 17 goals for him this season. Mason Fillingham has been nudging him over all season for Ince Rosebridge. 3 tries and 16 goals he's got now. And Brad Stanway, when he actually is able to kick a goal, he's scored a try and kicked 12 this season.
It's strange, actually, because when I was watching this game, if you remember, I said it was quite windy, and what came to mind straight away was Connor Parkinson and Danny Cassidy, and where they run that play where sometimes from the base of the scrum the ball will come up to Cassidy. He will see that the full back's up and he'll put that kick in for Connor Parkinson, who knows it's coming and he's gone. And I'm thinking, surely you can develop that same play with Brad Stanway and Holiday on the wing, who's another speedy winger. It would be a good armament to have in the locker, I tell you.
You're going for your
coaching badges next week.
Coaching level too, aren't you? Yep. When did this go out, Steve?
I just thought, obviously, I know how a good kicker sort of, when he's on his game, he's a good goal kicker, Stanway, but like I say, in play kicking he's really good. A couple of little grubbers and etc. he put through at the weekend as well, and he's got various things in his locker, and I reckon, because I was saying that, and Rob said that in his interview, Old Holiday, we're really running it back hard. I think that's something they could look at myself.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough.
And if it comes off, I'm taking credit.
Hey, I'm not disagreeing with you, but when they start calling it, the Beech manoeuvre, we're going to be having words. You'll get your own interview done at that stage.
I'll have to interview myself.
Yeah. Looking at the Premier Division, of course, West Hull still just out on top. I know they've lost a couple of games recently. They're on top by virtue of point difference alone, though, with West Bowling in second spot. Siddle not placed that far behind, a game in hand, and only 2 points behind as well. Have you not silenced your phone?
I can't. It's coming all the way from America. I think it's my son who doesn't realise what time it is over there.
Does he not know we record a podcast? But I only jest.
He's actually talking about another podcast which we are involved in recording that he's been listening to.
Oh, right, okay. Waterhead making a good fist of it in 4th. York Acorn in 5th. Loch Lane in 6th with Wafbrow Hornets, Rochdale Mayfield, Natto Heath Crusaders. Hunslet in 10th. Lee Miners Rangers 11th. Dewsbury Moor Maroons in 12th. May I ask you this question before? Anybody really surprising you with where they're placed currently?
Waterhead Warriors. Gotta be. I mean, you would have never at the beginning of the season, you'd have thought they'd give a fist of it, yeah. But to be in 4th there, absolutely superb. Deservedly, because, I mean, they've done some really, really good results against some, sort of regulars who are there in the Premier. Obviously, being lower down, Hunslet not being in that mix, but that's, like we said the other week, that has opened it up for everybody else, isn't it? The likes of Loch Lane are hovering in and around there. With a couple of wins back to back, they'll be challenged back in there as well, which is great to see.
Looking at the scorers, we've actually got a bit of there's a try that's been missed here. So Harrison Dodd is top of the try scorers at the moment for Waterhead Warriors, but I believe he scored 11 tries this season and not 10 tries as is listed on his record. So somebody at Waterhead needs to ask the NCL to open up the league things again, because I had this last season with Kieran Prescott before he went on tour to Australia, and he was like, I've scored more tries in Division 3 than Tom Minns has for East Leeds. Can this be sorted, Dave? And I said, you're going to have to ask Lee East to see if they can get onto the NCL to open up the scoring charts again, and someone can go and put those missing. There's one that's been missed somewhere, one of your tries, Harrison. So I can only offer apologies as it stands now. I tell you what, your messages, I think they've heard about this Beech manoeuvre. You've gone and told them already. This is coaches getting on to you.
They're coming in thick and fast.
They're coming in thick and fast, yeah.
Oh, Sean Wayne. What's he?
Just any move with Sean Wayne would do. Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry. I should control myself a little bit better. Adam Robinson is in second spot with the try scores, 7 tries this season. Lewis Taylor for West Bowling also proving pretty good on form with 7 tries. Morgan Jones, a bloke we've seen a couple of times with Loch Lane this season, 7 tries and 14 goals. Jensen Hamilton, he's now up there with the top scorers in the Premier Division as well, 6 tries and 2 goals. Keegan Brennan's also scored 6 tries and 33 goals for Waterhead. Logan Simpson is there with 6 tries for West Bowling. Tyrone Chipchase with 6 tries for Rochdale Mayfield. 5 of those, remember, came in one game and one game alone. And then you've got Josh Oliver, who's been doing it year in, year out for Skirler, scoring 5 tries for West Hull. Oliver Bartle, who's been doing it year in, year out for West Bowling, currently there with 5 tries as well. And if we look at the top of the goal kicking charts, well, Harry Williams back in the saddle at West Bowling. 41 goals he kicked already in 10 games, 3 tries to boot as well. Keegan Brennan with 33 goals, Jack Townend of West Hull with 22 goals, Greg Rooney, Wafbrow Hornets with 17 goals, and even Dewsbury Moor Maroons, they deserve an honorary mention in this spot, thanks to the former Greg Culbridge. He's scored a try and kicked 16 goals as well. So that's your National Conference League Premier Division stats.
Moving over into Division 2, and of course, who were the big runners and riders there? We've got to say, Parky should be doing this like he's reading the race card. I'll tell you, all these days he's spending with these jockeys and horses.
Well, the 3-1 favourite in this division is definitely East Leeds, 426 points for, just 92 against, and 9 wins out of 9. a point difference of 334. Did that sound racy enough for you?
It wasn't bad, that. It wasn't bad.
I did try, you know. I mean, I know I'm not, what was his name, McKirrick?
Yeah.
He used to
do Whoppy and John McKirrick.
He used to do all the talking on Channel 4 racing, but, you know.
What about Bruff Scott? Do you remember him?
No,
I don't remember. Bruff Scott was
was he a rough Scot?
No, he was quite well to do.
Was he?
Yes,
was very well to do.
Yes.
Okay. Right, shall we just return to the lead table? Shall I just give it the Parkyism rather than the racingism? So you've got East Leeds who are top of the tree, 9 wins out of 9. They do look imperious at this stage of the season, don't they? And although they have been challenged in 2 or 3 of the games, they've also scored a heck of a lot of points. Dewsbury Celtic are really well placed with 7 wins and 2 losses, sitting in second spot, and just behind them on point difference is Clotface Miners with a very similar league record. Pilkington Rex have found some form over recent weeks to climb to 4th in the division, and Barrow Island, who only missed out on relegation last year by the skin of their teeth, are sitting in 5th, with Hensingham, promoted from Division 3 last season, sitting in the final playoff berth 9 games into the season. The rest of the division that season, Normanton Knights in 7th, Driglington in 8th, those two with very, very similar points tallies, although Driglington, they tend to either win big or lose big. They've got a point difference of minus 144, so that they've only got 2 clubs who have worse point differences than that in the entire division. Skirler, thanks to their result the other week, they have climbed off the bottom of the table. I didn't mention Thornhill Trojans as well, who sit in 9th position as well. Their form's been a bit up and down, and again, they're another side that concedes a lot of points as well. Hull Dockers and Ellenborough Rangers are the teams that have been really struggling at this level this season. So Skirler, Hull Dockers, Ellenborough Rangers. Now the interesting thing for Hull Dockers, you go back 2 seasons, they were a Premier Division side, so they're at risk of dropping them right the way down into Division 3 of the National Conference.
And we know how easy that can happen, don't we? You've only got to have a look at Pilks, how they tumbled all the way down.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. I mean, give them the due. They're consolidating now, but you've just got to be wary.
Now, perhaps unsurprisingly, given the amount of sheer points that East Leeds are scoring, I think I mentioned 426. They definitely have a number of players at the top of the try-scoring charts. So AJ Wilson has scored 14 tries in just 9 games. Kieran Brinning, we've mentioned him a few times, 10 tries in just 6 appearances. Jake Normington, 9 tries in 8 appearances. And then further down the list, Alfie Crawford has got 6 tries in 8. Shane Plunkett has got 6 tries in 7. George Clark, previously with Hunslet, 6 tries, 3 goals, 8 games. So they're certainly amongst it. Other players that just seem to punctuate this list a little. Aidan Jones, who we heard from last week, playing for Pilkington Rex, just 8 tries so far in 6 appearances. Ben Daniels from Clotface Miners, 8 tries in 8. Finlay Dutton Rasconi, we always mention him, don't we? He's a real all-rounder, 7 tries and 9 goals. Josh Frame from Dewsbury Celtic with 7 tries. Jordan Hurst, Dewsbury Celtic, 7 tries, 35 goals. Charlie Heaton with 7 tries, Dewsbury Celtic. And then there is a couple of other players that are just about making themselves onto this top list, and that includes Tom Gray from Skirler, 5 tries and 2 goals, and George Hannon with 5 tries. If I look at the goal kicking charts now, I was quite impressed with the guy who kicked 41 goals in the Premier Division. We've got Luke Littlewood here, not Luke Littler.
Oh yeah, we always get his name wrong, or nearly get his name wrong, don't we?
We've got Luke Littlewood here, 4 tries, 53 goals in just 8 appearances. My maths is rubbish, but that's 122 points, Steve. That's amazing.
Huge, isn't it?
Jordan Hursty's second on points with 98 for Dewsbury Celtic. Lewis Geraghty is having a really influential season for Clockface Miners. 4 tries, 34 goals for him. Sam Jones at Barrow Island, now in the veteran stages of his career. 3 tries and 22 goals. And Sam Ratcliffe as well is not to be ignored. In 9 appearances, he's notched 4 tries, 21 goals. However, in those 9 appearances, he's been sent off once and simmed 3 times.
Oh.
So if he can stay on the pitch a little bit longer, Sam, you might end up with more points, son. Adam Williamson is having a tremendous season for Hensingham at the moment. 3 tries and 19 goals in 7 appearances. And then this is where I've got a little bit of faith in Hull Dockers, being able to pull away from this position, because they've got Dan Sudderby, 4 tries, 12 goals. Ollie Agar, 2 tries, 12 goals as well. And I just feel when you've got players that can score points, you're not far from putting on a number of points on somebody, are you?
That's right, yeah.
In order to get the wins that you need to move you away from the position.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens over the course of the rest of the season. And then looking at Division 3, so we've got Bentley top of the tree there. Perhaps a little bit of a surprise. Keighley Albion second.
But both of those sort of surprised me. I mean, Keighley Albion because obviously they're new. Bentley because from when we went seeing them last season, they were sort of just getting things together as it were. So, but they've certainly done it this season, haven't they?
Oh, they have, yeah.
They took strides.
They're getting some real consistency amongst the performances. 6 wins from 7 games so far. Same record for Keighley Albion. Saddleworth Rangers sitting in 3rd spot. Featherstone Lions not too far behind in 4th as well. So it's nice to see Fev Lions coming back into contention. We all know that they've had to rebuild and go away and come back again. Myton Warriors and Lee East just sitting within that top 6 at the moment, but let's be honest, there's not much distance between Dissington and, there's not much distance anyway between Dissington and Millom by comparison to some of the other teams in that division. But certainly from a league point of view, you've got Lee East, Dissington and Millom all locked on 6 points each. Milford with 2 points. Beverley, perhaps surprisingly, bottom of the league with 0 points so far from 7 games.
From 7, yeah.
And how does that eventuate into the stats? And certainly from a tries point of view, you've got Grant Hill at the moment, who's really running the tries in for Bentley. 8 tries in 6 appearances. Alfie Wall for Myton Warriors, 6 tries, 2 goals. Tyler Fisher for Myton Warriors, 6 tries and 5 goals. Adam Gaunt, Keighley Albion, 6 tries. Josh Tenniswood, 6 tries. Also for Keighley Albion. Then there's a couple of Beverley players as well which are in there. So Lewis Miller has scored 5 tries in 6 games. Lewis Harold has scored 5 tries in 6 games. Ben Stead, who previously played professionally in League One, he's doing the business for Keighley Albion, and he's a real all-rounder. 5 tries, 5 goals, 1 drop goal. I like when you get players that's got the whole range. And then there's a couple of players from Milford that are in this list as well. Callum Platt scoring 4 tries. Hamish McClintock, who we're taking to our hearts in this show.
Yeah, I like Hamish.
4 tries, 13 goals so far this season. Connor Terrell scoring 4 tries as well for Millom. Josh Blinkhorn scoring 4 tries for Millom. Tom Askew 4 tries for Millom, and Hadley Thompson 4 tries for Millom. So perhaps surprisingly, Millom aren't further up the list.
I was just thinking exactly that, yeah,
because they've obviously got some try scoring potential there, but they also you can look at that and think, well, they're quite well spread amongst the team, aren't they?
Yeah. That's what you want, really, isn't it? I mean, it's obviously defensively they've got to tighten things up and make sure they can get a couple of wins back together and get some momentum for moving forward.
And if we look from a point scoring point of view, you've got Conor Whitehead at Saddleworth Rangers, who's top of the tree at the moment, 55 points in his 6 appearances, 2 tries, 23 goals and a drop goal. Kieran Lewis isn't that far behind, to be honest, with 42 points for Bentley, 2 tries, 17 goals. Hamish McClintock currently in 3rd spot in the point scoring charts with his 42 points. And Callum Hudson for Keighley Albion, he's another all-rounder, by the way. 2 tries, 14 goals, 4 drop goals already.
Just shows you.
He's after some sort of record with these drop goals, I tell you. And then the rest of the point scorers fairly close together due to the amount of tries that have been scored. But I think that just sort of sums up, and it's nice to give some of these players a little bit of recognition, isn't it? You know, because we're nearing the halfway point of the season, and you know, there's a lot of rugby that's been played, there's a lot of rugby to come, but there's some real interesting stories that are being told, aren't there?
There certainly are, and we need to shine the light on these people who were, sort of putting in these performances as well.
Talking about interesting stories, what's your story?
Now this is an interesting story. I was at, obviously, the game on Saturday between Crosfields and Shawcross Sharks, and as we said, it was the only NCL game on at the weekend, and at the end of the report I was bemoaning that there weren't as sort of many people sort of locally coming out to support the local club. I mean, even Shawcross Sharks fetched a few with them, which was nice to see. But we're going to give a big shout out to the real heartbeat of the game, the fans who live and breathe the grassroots rugby league game here. Because this week we had the pleasure of seeing a couple of proper rugby league men on the sidelines, Ralph Wainwright and Michael Chaplow, both proud supporters of Hunslet AR-LFC. Yeah, that's right. Not only did they turn up, but they turned up in style. They were rocking the full kit, the shirts, the Hunslet shirts, and also the bucket hat as well. And they're having a little wander all the way around the ground and taking in the rugby. Said, and we loved it. He said, it was great to see the kind of pride in your club. Ralph made the trip from East Ardsley in Wakefield, and Michael came from Horsforth in Leeds, and between them they brought some real Hunslet spirit to the game. After the final whistle, they even carried on the rugby journey trip to Warrington Rugby League, which is just down the road, and Ralph, for the first time, he managed to get down there. They got themselves a pin badge each, and that's what they try and do, is when they go around to different grounds, they try and get a programme and a pin badge to show where they've been. But they had a little bit of a treat, because the people at Warrington let them go in and take some photos of Halliwell Jones while they were down there. And it just shows that's real commitment, and it's well done. Ralph dropped us a message, and he said, couldn't believe that Crosfields were near the bottom, and obviously the Shawcross Sharks were near the top. He says, you gave it a right good go. When they scored, you scored. He said, if you only sneaked in front, who knows? Well, Ralph, that's the beauty of the game, and we love your passion for it. We hear you loud and clear, and a big shout out for Hunslet Amateur Rugby League Club, flying the flag and doing the game proud. And also to you, Michael, thanks for coming down and supporting Crosfields and Shawcross Sharks, showing the support, not just for them, but for the NCL and obviously your own club as well. And we'll definitely keep you in the loop for when we're getting out and about and doing any Hunslet games. So stay tuned for that, and keep rocking them Hunslet bucket hats. It was funny, because when I came out, I thought, I should have got hold of him and had a bit of a chat to him.
So it's like getting enough of one on social media.
Well, that was it. When I saw that Dominic, who'd been taking some of the photos for the game, they'd replied to him there. So I said to him, we'd give him a shout out and let them know. It was great to see, and I hope they enjoyed the day. As I say, Crosfields it's a nice venue. It's a nice venue, and nice to see they were welcomed at what they call it as well. They're at Warrington Rugby League Club.
Moving on to the fixtures that we've got for this coming weekend. And in the Premier Division, all the action kicks off on Friday evening. This seems like it's going to be a titanic struggle. West Bowling against Siddle. That's going to be a cracker, isn't it? Then on Saturday, it's Thatto Heath against Wathbrow Hornets. That's some of that you'll be able to hear on Radio Cumbria this weekend, I believe. And I'll be over at that one. In fact, we're both going over, aren't we? Yeah. We're hoping to get some audio for the show next week. Lee Miners Rangers, they're at home to Loch Lane. So it'll be interesting to see whether Paul Couch can finally get one over Dave Rowlands, because I know that he was telling me a few weeks ago he's never coached a winning side against the Dave Rowlands coach side yet, so he'll be after making a bit of history there. Rochdale Mayfield are up against Dewsbury Moor Maroons. Waterhead, meanwhile, they're at home against West Hull in another mouth-watering fixture. York Acorn at home against Hunslet. That looks like an interesting one as well.
Well, that's interesting, because can Hunslet keep this pattern of games going, the momentum that they're on? This has got to be a good benchmark, this one, Parky, I think. Moving into Division 1, we've got Egremont Rangers. They will be welcoming Woolston Rovers. Shawcross Sharks, who obviously were now a feature game, they will be making the trip to Eworth. Kells, they'll be welcoming Oldham Raiders. Whilst Crossfield, well, they've got a trip to Stanley to contend with. We've got Wigan St Jude's. They will be up against Oldham St Anne's, and I think this possibly the next one is maybe the game for Division 1 at the moment. Wigan St Pat's against Ince Rose Bridge.
I know there's a rivalry between those two, and it was quite interesting when I went there the other week with some of the things that were being said in the bar.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Maybe I was a bit daft. I never realised that the feeling was quite as strong between those two clubs. And yeah, that'll be tremendous. I mean, do you remember the other year when they played in the Challenge Cup and they were queuing right around the block?
Oh yeah, it was immense. Yeah,
there was about 2,500 people.
That's right. Yeah,
going watching that one.
Yeah.
Get there early if you can. Wigan St Pat's against Ince Rose Bridge if you're planning to go, because you don't want to be queuing around the block and potentially missing any of that game. Moving into Division 2, and you've got Dewsbury Celtic up against Northampton Knights this weekend. Driglington hosting Thornhill Trojans. East Leeds at home to Ellenborough. Doesn't get any easier for Ellenborough, does it, having to go over to East Leeds? This looks like it'll be a real tasty encounter, though. Hensingham against Clockface Miners. Pilkington Rex against Barrow Island as well looks a really interesting fixture as well. I think from the fixture, or from the tables we went through before, 4th against 5th. Skirler against Hull Dockers, bit of a Hull derby going on there, and that's, as it stands, a bit of a relegation 4-pointer as well.
In Division 3, we have got Bentley. They will be welcoming Milford to the ground, whilst Mighton Warriors will be travelling to Beverley. Featherstone Lions, they'll be hoping to continue in their good form, or they'll be welcoming Dissington. And Keighley Albion, again another one who want to continue the good form, will be at home to Millham. And to round things up, Saddleworth Rangers make the trip over to just round the corner from where Parky lives, at Lee East.
Right. Knowing what I've got to get through this weekend, I'm going to go and buy loads of Jakemans, loads of Uncle Joe's mint balls. I'm gonna you go and get the lemon sips.
You get them cheap, won't you? Being in Wigan.
No, they don't include it for every resident. You see, that's not part of the council tax.
I thought that was given.
Unfortunately, no, you don't get given them.
No,
William Santos has to still make his money.
Yeah.
He has to still make his money there. But yeah, I'm going to go and rest my voice. Great being part of the show once again, Steve. A little bit of a show with a difference, but we hope that you have still enjoyed it and join us again next week when we'll be back.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.